Welcome to the HydroWave magneto-hydraulic shockwave therapy system quick start setup. This video will show you how to get from unboxing to having the machine set up to treat in actually less than 10 minutes. So the few things that you're going to need to have, some of them come in the box, one of them you're going to need to get. So in the box we've got our holder for the handpiece, we've got our handpiece, we've got a power adapter right here, and then what you're going to need to get is distilled water. We also have the filler tube, which is right here, and I'll show you how that goes on the front of the machine. Now, the importance of distilled water, some of the other machines you actually need a saline solution or other type of solution to keep the internals of the machine functioning and maintained. With this, it's actually an all-contained water system. Distilled water is the best thing to use. In fact, do not use tap water because there's minerals, there can be bacteria in it that can actually reduce the life of the pump and the internals with respect to the water. With this, distilled water is perfect. It makes sure that the pumps last the longest. The internal containment tank is actually made of aluminum, so you don't have any issues with any chemicals leaching or anything like that. It actually will last a long time if using distilled water. We've actually upgraded the pumps in these things compared to some of the other machines, so that's another thing that we wanted to really address. Some machines have issues with pumps fouling, with them having to be replaced on a regular interval. This machine is designed such that that shouldn't have to ever be an issue. Everything is overbuilt to make sure that you don't have any downtime, you don't have any service issues. Now let's get to some of the components. I'll speak about the advantage of all these components as well, and some of the special features that we've designed into it. So let's get on to the setup. Setup is basically get it unboxed, get it on whatever stand you want to use it on. There are a couple suggestions we have. You can also use the rolling case that it comes in as a stand. It was actually designed to be able to do that. It's got a roller on it, a little handle like a suitcase. That's what we use in my clinic generally, in the other room that is not this one, just because it's easy to roll around the clinic. It's at a fairly low level, so the risk of it tipping, that type of thing, keeps it nice and safe, nice and stable, and easy to roll around. So your filler tube. Your filler tube has two tubes here. You'll see on the treatment head, there's four. Two are electrical, two are the water. On this filler tube, you only need the two, and those are corresponding to the bottom tubes. It won't fit in upside down, so you don't have to worry about that. Two tubes on the bottom to plug in like that, and that's how you fill the machine up with water. So now this machine's already filled up with water, but I'm going to show you how to do it anyways. Take the treatment head off. You're going to put this little guy, which is your treatment head holder. It just slides onto a bracket on the side, pushing down, and stays right there. So your power looks like this. It's got a little GFI on it, so it's got a breaker. If it ever draws too much power, the breaker on this thing will go before any of the breakers in your clinic will go. So it's a nice little safety feature to make sure that, there's no electrical mishaps. So you're going to plug this in. When you plug it into the wall, you'll see a little red light. If you don't see a red light, you just press reset and it'll click and it'll be functional. So you need to see the red light on here for it to be functional. We'll just plug that into the wall. All set. Red light is on. The screen is actually on a nice thick aluminum hinge. You just bring the screen up like that to whatever angle you want it at. Nice that you can adjust the angle. Then behind here, there's a little blue button that you press down. That'll turn your machine on. It'll boot up itself. It'll go straight to the treatment screen. And there you have the treatment screen. So when you're filling it up with water, distilled water, you take these two little tubes that come out of the machine there. You put them in to your canister of water below the water line, so it will suck the water in, and then you press water out. Now I know that's a little bit backwards, but water out means water coming out of the head into the machine. So pressing water out will actually fill up the machine. You'll see water come up through the tubes, and then eventually what you'll hear is it'll get quiet and water will start to come out the back of the machine. So this one needed a little bit of extra water. Right in the back there's a drain. Water will spit out the drain when it's full. So you hold that water out, down, until it's full and water spits out the back. Now, every couple months, you should do this just to make sure it's full of water. It will evaporate a little bit. It is a closed system, but see, there you go. You heard it spit all over the floor. Now, all the water is full up in the machine. So then you take these tubes, hold them upside down, unscrew. Now, these connectors, some of the connectors you'll see on other machines are plastic. They have a number of different contacts in them, and they have a mechanism that attaches them, sucks them into the machine. To me, all those mechanisms, there are things that could break. We used connectors that are like you see on trains, planes, aviation, nice milled aluminum, nice strong thread, so it holds in nicely, and there's no issues with anything breaking or being less durable than it needs to be. Now, so you'll see a little bit of water dripped out here when we took that off. That's completely normal. On the treatment head end, there are 4 poles here. We have the 2 that are kind of copper looking and 2 that are kind of steel looking. The steel ones are actually the electrodes for the electricity, for the shot that comes into the head. The 2 bottom ones are your water tubes, just like on the other head that I showed you. So the water tubes are always on the bottom, the electrical tubes always on the top. It doesn't fit in any other way, but just so you know. So you'll just basically line those 4 poles up, push it in with your hand, jiggle and push it a little bit as far as it'll go, and then you take the aluminum ring, thread it around here, and tighten it nicely. As you tighten it, it will actually press the 2 ends into each other and create a nice strong seal. Like I say, the same plugs that are used on trains, same type of plugs that are used on aviation, basically to make sure that they don't fail, because failure in an aviation or train situation is fatal. Failure in a situation like this leads to downtime, and we don't want any of that. So make it nice and easy, nice and strong. So now when we go to fill the head, this one has a little bit of water in it, but they'll come with no water in it. What you need to do is you drop the head below the machine, and then you put water in. Water in means water is going to be going into the head. As you'll see, as we do that, the head will start to fill. Now this one's got a little air. You can see half of it is air. What do you do with that? Well, you put it on its side, because the fill tubes are basically at the side right about here, and you press water out. You'll hear that bubbling. That bubbling is actually the machine cycling the air back in and then spitting it out the drain tube in the back. So when you do this, usually only have to do it once or twice to fill the head initially, and then you won't have any issue with air bubbles at all at any time. So you can hear that machine kind of full of water. As it sucks the membrane right into the head, you'll see that kind of fold up a little bit and take all the air out. You can see the air kind of removing there. There you go. Now all the air should be removed from the system. When we drop this machine down the handpiece again, press water in. It'll start to fill and should fill pretty much with no air. There may be little bubbles, but those will work themselves out as you use the machine as well. When you're treating the pumps cycle water through the head, so it'll automatically get rid of little bubbles. So don't worry about little bubbles. Only when the head is half full of air is that ever a problem. So here you go. Now that's nice and inflated. It should be set up when you're treating, so it's fairly full, but not super hard, but just hard that it depresses with a little bit of pressure, and that's going to be your treatment surface. All right, and then you just hang her on there, and you're pretty much ready to go.